the qualifiers, semis, even the finals. But if you want to get your game sense up, that's where private matches are the most important, and also just playing tournaments.
Well, I love to see that, and I love to see it so much that I actually want to talk about Batman Booga and Wheels again, Clay, because they're the first duo that we're going to be focusing on their drop spot. So tell me a little bit about this. I think they're going to be landing Llama Split, correct?
They are. They should be landing on top of that Llama uncontested, which means they're
out in these games, and you've got Batman Booga, who's a great mechanically skilled player, works well with Wheels. They have good communications. I mean, they made it to the finals, so I know Panda likes hyping them up, and I'm excited to see what they can pull off.
Well, Takada, I'm going to keep going with you real quick for our next duo. It's going to be Kadenox and 4DR Storm. Of course, another player, 4DR, an incredible veteran for NA West.
Oh yeah, 4DR, Kaden, they're actually landing in Tilted Tower, so this has some of the most loot on the map. However, it's also one of the most contested drop spots. I believe there's another 2 duos contesting 4DR and Kaden here, so they'll have a lot of loot, but they'll also have a lot of aggression, a lot of engagements they'll have to overcome in this drop spot.
And Clay, for me, when I look at this team right here, I look obviously at their qualifier 1 performance. That's how they made it through to the finals. They got 2nd place, and they did a good job grabbing placements, but also having a 2nd place 12 elimination game. So they kind of have all of their bases covered.
They do, and I mean, 4DR Storm is one of those few players that has made it, I believe, to every FNCS final, so he has a lot of weight on his shoulders. Again, that's a lot of pressure, right? Coming in, being one of the only few remaining in the world. I'm looking forward to see how they do. They've got good chemistry, but can they get out of Tilted?
Well, I mean, Clay, if we're going to be talking about pressure and talking about performances, then this next team is definitely going to be the one that everyone is looking to. Epic Whale in Arcrum. I'm fairly certain that not only have they made it to pretty much every single FNCS finals in existence, but also gone first place in almost all of them, Clay.
They have 6 FNCS finals, I believe, between the two, wins overall. Epic Whale is an FNCS Duos champion, landing Cody Crossroads. Now, we think they're going to be contested, but again, I don't think that's going to be the case. I feel like the team contested them may decide to not go there because, again, you're landing on Arkham Epic Whale. That's a lot.
Fire round 3, they were not contested, and now there's the possibility of being contested, so that could shake things up a bit.
Well, of course, that leads us to our next part, Clay. We are going to be looking at our off-spawn fights right here at Coney Crossroads, which is, of course, Arkham and Epic Whale.
And it's actually a really good point that Dakota makes because they haven't been contested in a while. They usually got Believer Beach, Sweaty Sands all to themselves. So we take a look in here and we will see Arkham Epic Whale going to be landing on that southwest side. On the southeast side is going to be Blizzard and Victor. Now, again, this is a POI that you can split. It's not as good of a split as Sleepy Sound. It doesn't have as much loot. But if Arkham Epic Whale can grab that loot, which they're landing on the dominant side, quickly move over to the ice cream side and get the shots on them, they'll quickly take them out. I have no reservations about that from them.
But Takada, we were talking with the casters earlier on before the show started, and they said that the team is actually contesting them is the team that pretty much stopped their entrance into qualifier 1. So how is that going to shake things up? Are we actually going to see Arkham and Epic Whale kind of change their play style a little bit?
I mean, I don't think Arkham and Epic Whale are going to change their play style necessarily. They're going to play Fortnite like they've played it in the previous seasons. I mean, they're the champions. They know what they're doing, and if they're able to come out on top, I mean, that's going to help them with Storm Surge. But if they're not able to handle the contestation well, I mean, we could see someone else take that throne from them.
And speaking
But it's got a lot of loot, but it forces you to fight if you don't disengage early, because a lot of players will rotate in, so you have to be on your toes with that.
Takata, what are your thoughts on this POI?
I mean, I'm with Clay, right? It's got the loot you need, but you have to be a confident duo mechanically. You have to have the synergy in box fights in these engagements, because you're going to get into some early game engagements no matter what. And if you want to make the most of it, you have to come out on top when that happens.
Drop spots are obviously very important in competitive Fortnite, but maybe even more important is where that zone is going to be landing. So we actually decided to challenge some of our players to see if they could predict where it's going to be. And that leads us to where in the world for NA West?
Oh, wow. I did not expect that.
I got 5 out of 5 last time we did this.
Don't think I'm gonna do very well.
Where is that? Alright, so my guess for the spot's gonna be Sleepy Sound.
I think that's by Log Jam.
The Sanctuary? I don't know.
Yeah, it's the fields at Sanctuary.
I'm trying to remember where the cornfields are. My guess is the Sanctuary.
I don't know the name of it, but it's a landmark near the Bugle, to the west of the Bugle, I believe.
Oh, yeah, that's, I remember that.
Alright, so this spot's gonna be the Log Jam.
That is Log Jam.
That would be at Log Jam.
I think that's Log Jam Lumberyard.
Lumberyard? I think that's what it's called.
Hey, this one's familiar to me. This is Log Jam.
Oh, perfect.
This one I have no idea.
I think this is the Clock Tower in Tilted Towers.
The clock tower at Tilted.
I would say Tilted.
Oh, that's Tilted Towers. That's the clock tower at Tilted.
I think that this is the Tilted Towers clock tower building.
Oh, geez, this could really be anywhere. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Camp Cuddle.
Sweet.
Oh, wow. I did not expect that.
I peeked through that window before. I think this location is Sleepy Sound.
That's the top of Bugle. The Daily Bugle.
I think that one's at Pony. Maybe.
Oh, I've seen this. Yeah, I don't know. Condo Canyon?
I think this is Greasy Grove. I just see like a lot of plants, and I feel like I might recognize that building.
This is the roof of Bugle, of the main building at Bugle.
Oh, it's Coney. No way. Oh, I knew it.
Bugle has like a similar roof over there.
Not even close.
I think that's Condo Canyon.
Actually, I'll go with Camp Cuddle. That looks like, yeah, Camp Cuddle.
Maybe Condo Canyon? I don't know.
I know it's in the desert somewhere. I think that's Condo Canyon.
I'm trying to think of the racetrack name, but I completely forgot about it. So I'm gonna go with Condo Canyon.
Sandy Shores has a lot of beach, so I'm gonna go with Sandy Shores.
That's Camp Cuddle? Oh, that was Camp Cuddle. No way.
Nice.
Camp Cuddle? Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed on a million years.
Oh, Camp Cuddle.
thanks to our players there for trying to guess where in the world those pictures are. Frappi coming out in first place, so I'm sure a lot of people are going to be watching for him in the competition. But the players that we are going to be watching right now, who we are excited to be able to compete. Takata, of course, I have to ask you about Krizix and Jelty right here, an incredible duo competing today.
I mean, you know it. One of my favorite Spanish-speaking duos, Jelty coming from Mexico and Krizix from Colombia, now competing on the NA West region. They are landing in Greasy Grove, but you have to be careful because they are contested from another elite duo. They're contested by Snacky and Favs, so it's not going to be easy to know who's going to come out on top in that engagement.
Ooh, well then, yeah, Clay, I mean, let's talk about this drop spawn fight. How's it going to work?
Well, I mean, Seki and Favs, they've been to 17 combined FNCS finals. That's a lot compared to Krizix and Jelty, who only have 8. So they have the experience over them. But Jelty and Krizix are scrappy fighters. They will hunker down, sit in a spot, and just wait for you to push them. And then they will go off of your movement, your errors. So Snacky and Favs have to be patient. They can't get over aggressive like they're used to. If they do, it's going to go over to Jelty and Krizix.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Favs and Snacky then, Takata. Like Clay was saying, you know, they've been competing for a really long time, even competing together as well. And obviously, we're used to them in a trios competition. They had to go through the semis, but they did make it through day one. So how do you think they're going to be performing today?
Look, I know that Snacky and Favs are very confident mechanically and also in those box fights, those engagements that you can get into before the late game. However, I know Jelty is a very strong IGL. Krizix also good player mechanically. I mean, incredible player mechanically. So I'm curious to see how those kind of different play styles go head to head, right? Who's going to play more position advantage? Who's going to try and secure more loot than their opponents? Or are they just going to like duke it out right off the drop, 50-50 a chest? I mean, I'm curious to see what happens.
Oh, same here. So curious. But of course, I'm also curious to see who we picked for our predictions. It's not just going to be the 3 of us here. It's also going to be the 2 casters. And I think out of all the teams that we've talked about today, they probably are in our predictions list right here. Oh, Clay, what a surprise. You, myself, and Jacob as well picking Arkham and Epic Whale. Why are you going with this team?
I mean, we just know that out of all the FNCSs, they have only lost 1. And I mean, I take those odds any day of the week. I mean, it's just, they're so dominant. They're so passionate. And yes, sometimes do they not make it in the first qualifier? Historically, yes. But then you see them come out and dominate the second one and make it all the way through and have a great day in finals. So I'm excited to see how they play.
I mean, you know I had to do it. We were just talking about it. Jelty, Krizix, my Spanish-speaking friends here. I mean, they're contested in Greasy Grove against another very powerful duo. But look, Arkham and Epic Whale are also contested in Coney Crossroads. So who knows?
And that's, you know, something that we're talking about before the show started, especially with the 2 casters, is that Arkham and Epic Whale are typically used to not being contested. Back when it was Believer Beach or even before that, no one really wanted to go up against the Titans, but that's when they were a trio. That's back when they had Rex or at one point Reet. So to see them here contested as a duo, and especially after you know the history where they didn't make it even through qualifier 1, you raise some suspicions, but then you see qualifier 2 where they had, like, what, in qualifier 1, I think first through third were only 10 points separated. Qualifier 2, they were ahead of second place by 40 points. They themselves grabbed 3 VRs, and we know that that is a big deal, especially in the finals. So say what you want, casters, but I personally think that this team right here, and I say casters, it's just Panda, but obviously talking about Panda's pick there, Batman, Booga, and Wheels, we already talked about them before, but I love to see this kind of veteran player joining a new player and competing out there. So everyone, that is the top of show for us. Hopefully you were able to learn a little bit more about NA West, but we know what you're here for. You're here for the games, and we have 6 intense games that are going to be starting in just a moment. But before game number 1 starts, we have to pick the brains of our casters. So Jacob and Panda, take it away.
What's going on, everybody? I'm so excited to be hanging out with Jacob here, casting all of these games throughout the finals weekend. It's going to be incredible. Real quick, I got to talk about it. Batman, Booga, Wheels, clearly my choice here. But Jacob, explain a little bit more why you picked Arkham and Epic Whale.
Yeah, even though throughout that first qualifier that all our analysts, even me and you were talking about, they're contested. They didn't get through, but the team that contested them, Victor and Blizzard, they qualified all the way to the finals in that first day. But there's one thing that so many teams don't have that they do, and that's experience. So even though they did falter early on in that qualifiers, I think that is just the tip of the spear. That little bit extra that they need to kind of clean up those things that went wrong and figure out how to perform just a little bit better here in our finals.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening, but look, we won't know until we get into this game. Are you excited, man?
No, I'm definitely excited. There's so many questions, so many superstars here. This is the first time. This is my debut here. My first Fortnite cast was with you, and now my most recent Fortnite cast is going to be with you again, Panda. And we don't have to wait long because the battle bus is ready. Finals game number 1 is right here.
Game number 1 is here. The finals are here. Chapter 3, Season 1 is underway with the finals. Arkham Epic Whale contested still here at Coney Crossroads, meaning that if it's anything like Qualifier 1, they are going to struggle a little bit. We saw the same exact team contest them there in Qualifier 1, which is partially the reason they didn't make it to that final round and automatically qualify in that first day. But they did make it through to Qualifier 2, and that's why they are here today. But will they be able to come out on top? Will they be able to change up the game plan from then? That's the question we're going to see answered here as this starts underway. It does look like Arkham Epic Whale going to get a bit of an easy start, to say the least.
Yeah.
Looks like Blizzard and Victor are not looking to take too many shots here off the rip. However, Victor, protecting himself pretty early, understands that they could come around that corner at any moment.
And you kind of see what the pressure of the finals do to some players. You don't want to take those early engagement like you might be used to in all your practices. And what you talk about being used to, Poppy Blast and Show, they land Chonker Speedway. And for them, it was a switch up of strategy that helped them qualify. They were contested against Aguilar and Compalon. They didn't want that contested fight off the drop. They switched it up just in time to qualify for the finals. Now back on over to Chonker Speedway, but once again back on over to Coney Crossroads as well. And to me, Panda, this isn't too surprising that we don't see them going all the way at it too early on. This is just game number 1. They have 6 games on the day.
They do. They have 6 games, and it's already starting here with Arkham and Epic Whale. It looks like just going to be the aggressors here in this off-spawn engagement. This is interesting, right? We didn't get to see them fully play out on the broadcast in Qualifier 1, but we did see Victor and Blizzard do an exceptional job there and qualify through in that first day. So we do see this turning, though, as Epic Whale gets a ton of tags here onto Victor. Blizzard, though, a little bit split there from Victor. Needs to be careful. All it'll take is a few shots here for Victor, and he's going to go down.
Yeah, has him down to about 50 HP. Blizzard trying to save the day and chop down Epic Whale, but that's only going to be a momentary distraction. As these players continuously are getting pressured. Victor is going to get dropped down first. That's going to be Arkham. Continue with the pressure and the teamwork from Epic Whale. And this is where now, Panda, they can take all the time in the world, but they have to be careful because they don't have all the time in the world. Teams can begin to pressure from the outside going in, so they have to make this as quick as possible.
You're absolutely right. And this is another thing I wanted to point out, right? As you see Epic Whale guarding his side here, that's because it looks like there's another player entering the fold. This is another concern that I had for them going into the weekend. Even if they could win the off-spawn engagement, there are some other players that are in the area and looking to capitalize on the fact that Epic Whale and Arkham are contested. Obviously, in the back of these players' minds, they know. They know that these are the top players in NA West, so they have to be super careful to avoid those shots. Another team that has to be super careful, it's Batman Booga and Wheels here over at Covert Cavern. They are not alone, but they strategically take this drop in a very, very special way, in a unique way. They only take what they can here from kind of the outskirts of Covert to avoid the early game engagement, and then they go over to that llama spawn not too far away there. So it's a really nice rotation for them, and it helps them avoid any kind of unnecessary early game fights, but it also sets them up for success there in the mid and late game.
Yeah, playing that overall big picture game, that's what you're going to see a lot of these players do, especially the ones that have been in this finals before. So it's going to be an interesting take. You know, Batman, Booga, Wheels, the experience on their side. So many players almost have a page full that this is their first finals. Victor and Blizzard included, the team that we saw go down early on. So I expect them game after game to continue to learn and progress, but Poppy Blast and Show at one point or another, it was looking free over at Chonkers Speedway, but you can see multiple teams wanting a share of that loot that they might think is left behind.
Yeah, I mean, look, Chonkers Speedway is one of those POIs that you love to see, but it's really not easy to deal with when it's contested. Just like Tilted Towers here. It's actually kind of the opposite of Tilted Towers, I should say, because Tilted, you can really split the POI. You can comfortably take different buildings and kind of rotate in your own direction. But it does not look like 40R Storm and Katenox actually want to do that. It looks like they want to go for the shots here on this other team. 40R Storm, though, not going to be able to find where they ended up rotating to before shots started raining in from a distance. So they have to be super careful because, remember, this is not 2 teams landing Tilted Towers. This is 3. So if you start a fight here with one team, you might get caught out by that other team. So it's all about being precise here in the decisions that you make within Tilted Towers so you can come out in the mid and late game.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very important throughout 6 different games, Panda, on day number 1, because we got another 6 games tomorrow that you have to have your game plan. You have to have that steady mindset, not to get over-aggressive, not to throw it all away in just one moment when you're in that heat of the moment of all things. And that's why you're seeing so many players try to dodge those early game skirmishes in game number 1. That's kind of what West is known for. Towards the later half of the day, when teams begin to get pressured by opponents, pressured by the leaderboard, that's when they begin to try to throw a wrench into the mix to switch things up. But Snacky and Fabs, a team that qualified in their very, very final game of semifinals day number 1, they were looking to have a little bit of a better start to their finals.
Yeah, they absolutely are already having a better start. Remember, they were not contested in semifinals, and they struggled, right? They're contested here, yet they're still alive in game number 1. So that tells me that they've made adjustments to the game plan, and they know what they need to do to stay out of those early game engagements that could affect their overall gameplay. Similar to Epic Whale and Arkham here. They were able to clean up that fight against Blizzard and Victor extremely quickly before any of those other teams that were close by.
There's loot in the mountains, our favorite time of year. With every round can be found a new winner crowned. There's loot in the mountains where the llamas play. The tree